si fugge, ti lascia star, ti lascia star. E no, e ti corri appresso, non ti struggi a riguardar, a riguardar. Lesti, via vogliam di qua, lesti, via vogliam su là, funiculi, funicula, funiculi, funicula, via vogliam su là, funiculi, funicula, lesti, via vogliam su là, lesti, via vogliam su là, funiculi, funicula, funiculi, funicula.
My name's Anthony Pantucci. The name is Pantucci with 2 C's. Welcome to the Pantucci Tapes. We have a very exciting show for you today. Hi, Ma. I'd like to say hello to my lovely wife, Angela. Hello, honey. Anyway, in this show today, we have some very interesting things for you. We have Pantucci News Report, #1 for the latest in news that you don't see everywhere else. Also, we have a detective from the New York Police Department. We have Detective Bingo Oshaynus, and he's a very famous New York detective, and he's done a lot of work, and it's good. What I'd like to start with today, we will start with our Pantucci News Report. This is Pantucci News Time. Hello. Okay, in Fountain View, Nebraska, last week, amateur ice skater Tanya Bobbitt was accused of crippling a rival ice skater, Lorena Harding, by striking her in the leg with a severed penis. It was then reported that the penis fell across the ice, slid all the way, and was crushed by a giant ice rink cleaning machine. Both women have no comment. Who writes this stuff? In the news today, Dr. Stephen Hawking, world-renowned theoretical physicist, was sucked up by a black hole yesterday and then suddenly reappeared in the middle of the Ricky Lake show. When asked how he ended up there, he replied, "The hell if I know." Next news report. In order to curb random teenage shooting incidents, the National Rifle Association is sponsoring a series of teen gun battles. Next week, PS 116 from the Bronx will shoot it out with St. Teresa's High School. Standing room only tickets are still available. Technology giants Apple Computer and IBM last week merged with a third company, Vegomatic. They will produce a new super-duper computer. The machine will not only run 10 times faster than existing machines, but will also slice carrots and make julienne French fries. Singing sensation Tom Jones was killed last night when he was struck in the head by a pair of lead panties thrown by a female fan. Last in our news report on the entertainment scene, famous French actor Gerard Depardieu will portray George Washington in an up-and-coming film, Shut Up, Martha. It's due out this fall. Okay, that is the end of the Pantucci News Report. I hope you all are listening. Next, what we have here for you is the Pantucci Video Review. Hey, all right. Starting at #5, for all you ladies out there, we have a lovely little film entitled Dangerous Liaisons. This heart-rendering film takes place in ancient France and stars John Malkovich as Valmont, a mad seducer of women, and Glenn Close as his girlfriend, the mistress. Through various snide remarks and sexual trickery, they both end up ruining each other's lives. Michelle Pfeiffer is very hot and shows plenty of cleavage as the madam do something or other. Highlights include lots of sex, a good bloody sword fight at the end, great costumes, and plenty of low-cut dresses. Dangerous Liaisons gets a big, giant 5 cannolis. Okay, our next film, #4 video pick of the week, is a foreign movie, in case you didn't think that Anthony Pantucci watched foreign films, which I do, because in my business, you know, you do what you can. This movie, Babette's Feast, centers around a French maid who works for a bunch of priests somewhere, and then she wins the lottery. When she wins the lottery, she makes a fancy dinner for all the priests with expensive snails, smelly cheese imported from France, and fancy mushrooms. Stop right there. First of all, she should maybe get her nails done, buy a Camaro, take her boyfriend out. I don't know about this film, you know? I think this film would basically get a big 4 cannolis, okay? That's all it would get. My favorite film of the week was The Godfather. This is a classic everybody should rent. This classic includes a few chokings, a stabbing or two, lots of explosions, and plenty of gunplay for the kids. The rest of the film is all talking, don't worry about it. By the way, do not rent The Godfather 3, it's unrealistic, okay? Nobody hits the Pope, all right? The Pope is protected by a bunch of Popal guards. The Popal guards are highly trained priests. They're trained in hand-to-hand combat, use of automatic and some nuclear weapons. You can't hit the priest. It's too hard. He's too heavily covered. This wonderful film gets a big 3 Pantucci cannolis. Okay, that ends the video review section of our show. I'm sure some of you are relieved. Hi, Ma. Okay, now, people have been writing letters left and right to Mr. Anthony Pantucci, which is me, okay? I've got some letters here that I'll read to you. This one is from Lisa Marie Pooch in Scarsdale, New York. Dear Anthony, whenever I feed my husband mushrooms, he gets sick and throws up. Me and the kids love mushrooms, and we don't know what to do. Please help. Dear Lisa, get another husband. Real men don't puke when they eat mushrooms. Our next letter is, oh, this one is from Vinnie Pantucci. My son has the same name. What a coincidence. Dear Anthony, my father hosts a television show on Manhattan Cable and acts like a complete stupid idiot for the whole world to see. I'm embarrassed. What should I do? This guy sounds like a real moron. Tell this guy to get another job. That ends the letter section of this show. Now I would like to introduce a guest of mine. This guest is a New York City police detective. His name is Detective Bingo Oshaynus. I'm sorry. Welcome to the show, Detective Bingo. What should I call you? Detective Bingo, Shaney boy?
Detective would be fine.
Detective would be fine. Okay, Detective. Well, I have a few questions to ask you. Of course, I work very closely with the police department, not really on an ordinary basis. Let's first talk about stop and frisk, okay? Detective, what do you do when you stop and frisk? What rights does an average legitimate businessman on the street have?
Well, Mr. Pantucci, stop and frisk isn't exactly a search. It's more designed to protect the people around you and protect the police officers and fellow officers there from someone possibly having a weapon that may be used to hurt somebody. So it's not really taken away from your rights if someone stops and frisks you.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, you know. Let me give you another scenario. Let's say a guy's standing on the corner of Carmine Street. He's absolutely minding his own business. He's not waiting for he's not waiting for anybody. He's just sitting there, minding his own business, doing nothing.
So?
Well, the question that I have to ask you is, does the police department have a right to actually stop and frisk this man?
Well, if he's doing nothing, I don't think any police officer is going to stop and frisk him.
That makes a great deal of sense. Although I've run into similar experiences, but I'd rather not go into that right now. Why don't we talk about use of force? For instance, if you arrest a guy, right, and the guy puts up a fight, you have every right to punch him in the head or shoot his head off. How do you distinguish between the two things? What does the average New York City Police Department, what's the policy on this kind of stuff?
You'll never see excessive use of force here in New York City, Mr. Pantucci. New York City Police Department uses the minimum force necessary to compel compliance. That could be as little as a command voice, the use of open hand techniques, or if you have to move up to other measures, maybe a nightstick. The most you'll ever see is the drawing of a handheld weapon, 38, 9mm. And we don't like to think of that as deadly force. It's more of a force used to stop. And we'd only use that if in grave circumstances where maybe somebody else's life would be in danger if we didn't use that weapon. It's protection of the tax-paying citizens and fellow officers.
Sure.
Those are the reasons you draw your weapon.
You got to be protected. Would you like a donut, officer?
No.
Oh, okay. Just wondering. Anyway, let me ask you a few personal questions. How old are you?
38.
Oh, I see. That's a good age to be a policeman, I suppose. What kind of gun you carry?
38.
Oh, yeah. How many homicides have you solved in the past few years?
38.
Very interesting. Talk about probable cause. You know, let's say a guy's in his apartment, he's not doing anything, just like counting stacks of money or something, and you are sitting in your car and you look at him through binoculars, right? You're looking at him through binoculars, and actually you weren't looking at him, you were looking at this girl undressing in the apartment above, but your binoculars went down. Would you have probable cause, let's say, to arrest a guy? That was legitimate.
Mr. Pantucci, no one in New York City Police Department looks through binoculars at women undressing in apartments.
Oh, of course not.
And we wouldn't be looking at anybody in the apartment with binoculars unless we had a reason to believe there was some sort of crime. See, now, there's a difference between probable cause and reasonable suspicion, a hunch, and then nothing at all. Probable cause is when you have the facts and circumstances there seem to suggest a crime. You have to be able to articulate that and say what exactly it is. You understand that, Mr. Pantucci?
Sure, I understand. So what you're saying is, I or a friend of mine could be, let's say a friend of mine that I don't know, but like somebody fictitious, like, you know, in a magazine somewhere, could be sitting there, and would you have a right to go in his apartment and search and frisk?
Well, we wouldn't go into his apartment without having probable cause that some sort of crime has been or is going to be committed, and before entering his apartment, we'd have to have a warrant.
How do you get a warrant?
Well, like I said, you have to be able to articulate your probable cause to a judge or a magistrate, and then you get out the appropriate paperwork, and then you take that appropriate paperwork to either the person you wish to arrest, or you use it to the domicile that you wish to search.
Well, let's say, would the warrant have to be signed by any commissioner in particular?
I just told you, a judge or a magistrate.
Yeah, judge or a magistrate. You mean a judge is a magistrate, or is magistrate a judge? I don't understand this.
I didn't think you would, Mr. Pantucci.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, the legal system really, I enjoy the legal system. Sometimes it's a little bit of a bad thing, you know, because I do own several businesses, and sometimes the police officers do ask questions, obviously, about other hooligans and hoodlums that are wandering around. Certainly not anybody that I know or could be associated with. But you know what I've been finding out lately is that a lot of informers have been helping the police department. What about informers? How do informers work?
Well, there's a couple different types of informers, Mr. Pantucci. You have what's called the good citizen type informer. An example of good citizen, for example, say I was to be eating at a diner, and a waitress comes over to me, and she gives me a tip that somebody at one of the other tables just dropped, like, say, a bag of illegal contraband on the chair or on the floor next to him, and then quickly picked it up and stuffed it back in the
Illegal
pocket.
contraband. Go on.
So that's one tip that I could have gotten from a good citizen.
So you get tips from waitresses? Isn't it supposed to be the other way around?
Anyway, Mr. Pantucci, the other type is the anonymous tip. That's where somebody drops a dime. Say, like your brother, or say a friend of yours, maybe got ticked off about something you did in one of your legitimate businesses. You decided to drop the dime in the phone and give the police department a call.
You know, I don't know what this world is coming to. Is that, can you use that in court? Not for me, but for, you know, what I read.
Don't believe everything you read, Mr. Pantucci. The other type of informer is the habitual informer. Say, for example, we collar some punk off the streets, some nickel-dime type crime. It's not worth the taxpayers' money to try to prosecute this kid. So instead, we make a deal with him. He doesn't have to do any time. He keeps on giving us some information. Every once in a while, we pay this kid a visit. You know, he kind of, he consorts with the criminal element quite a bit more than, well, the average person, maybe, Mr. Pantucci. For a police officer, we lead the lifestyle of just about any other American. So we turn to these undesirables, and we use them for information.
I hate undesirables and hooligans of any kind. Honestly, I really do. I really do. You know, I've watched a lot of cop shows, and I've been around a little bit. You work with a partner, is that correct?
Yes, Mr. Pantucci, we often work with a partner.
All right, let me give you a scenario here. Let's say a partner and you are sitting in your car hour after hour, You're smoking cigarettes, you're drinking coffee, eating donuts, you're on a stakeout, right?
You mean sitting on a plant, Mr. Pantucci. Stakeout's a television term.
Sitting on a plant? Oh, we're on a cactus. But let's say you and your partner, you go back to the station house and you take showers together and, well, you know, things happen. Did you ever fall in love with a partner? Oh, maybe not. No, I don't think maybe he could fall in love with a partner. What about anonymous tips? Anonymous tips are good. Anonymous tips. Now here's right now I have something that's very dear to my heart. I mean, from what I've read, searches. What constitutes a legal search as opposed to an illegal search?
Well, Mr. Pantucci, depends if you're talking warrants or warrantless searches. I already explained the warrant search earlier. Warrantless search would be, say, plain view type searches. Say I pull you over for parking violations. I have the right, by the way, to have you get out of your vehicle. Just the fact that I'm pulling you over for parking violation gives me that right. So I call you out of your vehicle. And say you appear inebriated to me, Mr. Pantucci, so you can't walk a straight line.
Inebriated.
And while you're getting out of the car, you tell me that maybe you forgot your license or something in the car, and you turn around to get it. And me not wanting you just turn around with a gun in your hand, I get close to you and look over your shoulder to see what you're reaching for. There happens to be a knife or something on the floor or on the seat, somewhere in what's called plain view. And now the right to search the rest of that car for other possible weapons that might be within your reach or you might have the ability to get to and use on either me or another officer or one of the tax-paying citizens of this fine city.
Well, let's say a guy's driving, not anybody we know, but let's say a guy's driving a 68 Camaro convertible with Roland Tuck leather upholstery and fins, and he's driving down the road and he runs a red light. Are you allowed to search his trunk?
Well, Mr. Pantucci, depends who's driving the car in that case.
All right, I'll give you another scenario, detective. Let's say a man is driving his car and there's an arm hanging out of the trunk with a magic marker scrawling help all over the trunk. Would that be, not that it ever happened because it didn't, but would that be considered justifiable cause?
I'm not sure if I understand what you mean by justifiable cause. I think you mean probable cause, Mr.
Yes, that's
Pantucci.
exactly what I mean.
And yes, I'd say that any normal conscientious police officer seeing a hand coming out of the trunk would say that's an unusual situation. At least you'd be able to say that's articulable suspicion that there's something wrong. And if you're scrawling help, that would definitely be probable cause that either some sort of illegal activities at foot or something is wrong. Anybody I know that speaks or reads the English language understands that help means help. Do you understand that much, Mr. Pantucci?
Oh,
Am I
sure.
losing you?
Help means help, you know. In fact, you know, most
So in that case, Mr. Pantucci, a law enforcement officer would be able to go over to the car, open up the trunk, search the trunk, and probably the rest of the car, too.
Well, you know, I'll tell you something. The rights in this country have been going downhill ever since the Fourth Amendment came out in 1968, or whenever it came out. You know, it's very, very tough. It's very hard. What about surveillance, okay? This is a main consideration to a lot of people, a lot of hardworking, legitimate businessmen. And let's say, you know, are you allowed to plant bugs in places of business or social clubs?
Mr. Pantucci, the way the law reads, basically what it states, is that you cannot bug or use electronic surveillance devices unless one member of a party desires it, asks for it, wishes for it, or consents to it. In other words, say you misplace your trust in the wrong partner and he decides to cop a plea or work with a law enforcement officer and we wire him. He goes in there and you cut a deal with him. That wasn't illegal surveillance because he consented to it. And just like I said, you misplaced your trust in the wrong sort of individual.
There's a lot of untrustable hooligans running around this day, and I understand this, you know. It could be very, very difficult. Let's say, I'll give you a different scenario. Let's say you go, I want to know actually what constitutes entrapment. Specifically.
Well, I'll try to explain this basically as I can for someone like you, Mr. Pantucci. Entrapment is basically when a law enforcement officer plants the seed or the idea of a crime or to commit a crime in an otherwise innocent man's mind. For example, say a law enforcement officer acts as a junkie, or somebody that needs drugs desperately, and he knows of somebody who has access to drugs, say heroin, for example. And that person otherwise would never have sold this drug, but this cop keeps on pestering him or something like that, trying to get a good collar, get a good bust. And eventually this man sells the drugs. That would be entrapment because the man otherwise wouldn't have done that. Of course, that would never, ever, ever happen here in New York City because our police department is impeccable. We do not do things like that. I want you to understand that.
Sure, of course. Of course. You know,
Now, if, let's say, the same police officer who decides to make a good, proper collar, which would happen here in New York City, knows that the person normally does deal drugs, or maybe has an idea or an anonymous tip told him, or a good citizen maybe passed some information to him, or just through his own observances, he knows. He decides to ask this person where can he buy some stuff, and after going through the normal proper channels that a drug dealer does, decides to sell this police officer some drugs or illegal contraband. That would not be entrapment because he otherwise would have sold the drugs, whether it was a police officer or some other citizen.
Now, are you allowed, okay, this is very important to me personally because I have a lovely wife, Angela, who has gotten into a little trouble, which was, she was totally innocent. It was no fault of hers. But let's say this woman would go to a, let's say she was driving through a red light, like we said before. Could you search her?
Search your wife?
Yeah. Or would you need to get a female officer to search the wife? And do you enjoy it?
Mr. Pantucci, we could search male or female. And every type of search we do, whether it's a stop and frisk or a body search, cavity search, strip search, it's always done in the utmost professional way. There's some very professional police officers in New York City here.
Tell me something. How many cavities does an average person have that are searchable? Well, let me put this another way. Maybe, are you allowed to search every cavity in the male and females, or do you have to take them to the station house first? And I don't know what goes on there, but are you allowed to do, you know, search every cavity?
Most cavity searches are performed with either a doctor present or a doctor would. As I was saying, Mr. Pantucci, everything's done in a professional manner.
Yes, I'm sure that it is. I'm very sure. I have a great deal. What do you think of, I don't want to get down on anybody in the police department, especially not any commissioner in particular.
Easy, Pantucci.
But what do you say the political situation is these days with the mayor?
The mayor?
The mayor.
And the commissioner.
Oh, of course.
Are top notch.
I agree. I think they're doing a wonderful, wonderful job.
Well, it's one time you think that's along the same lines I do, Mr. Pantucci, because it's a fact they're doing a fantastic job. Next question, please.
Okay. I'd like to know, paperwork. Do you have to fill out a lot of paperwork? Or sometimes, you know, do you do something and then you don't write it down, and some innocent, legitimate businessman gets, you know, arraigned for something that he obviously didn't do?
Police officers have good memories, Mr. Pantucci. Trust me, we have really, really good memories. It's just when necessary, we will write things down. And yes, we do fill out the reports. In fact, a lot of our time is taken up filling out reports. And you'll also often hear about how policemen get paid too much overtime, but that's not true. We don't get paid too much overtime. It's just we're doing what's necessary, filling out the proper forms and reports so that when these criminals go to court, that the collar sticks, that we try to keep them off the streets as long as possible. It's not the police officers putting these criminals back on the streets, Ms. Pantucci. It's the inadequate court systems and jails, and it's politicians. It's not the mayor, and it's not the commissioner, because they're doing their best. They back the police department 100%.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do. It's a wonderful system that we have. I enjoy it. I don't like the idea of informers because they could inform and the information could not be right because you never know. But sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. What do you think of women in the police department?
There's nothing wrong with women in the police department, Mr. Pantucci. Women could do the same job that any men could do, and they do a fine job when they do it. I don't see why that should even be open discussion.
Is it legal to have a helicopter hovering over somebody's house? Not that it ever happened.
Mr. Pantucci, it's FAA rules and jurisdiction. We don't control the airspace.
I'm sure you don't. Well, let's see. If I was a New York police detective, what would you say the first thing I would do when I come to the scene of a crime? Let's say a guy was shot 38 or 39 times. And it was outside of a bodega somewhere, and he's lying there. What's the first thing that a detective do when he comes to the scene?
Detective's going to secure the area in a proper way to make sure that none of the evidence is tainted, and set about seeking witnesses, see if anybody saw what happened. At the same time, while questioning them, we're going to test their credibility.
What if nobody wants to talk? Now, of course, they'd want to cooperate, but what if nobody talked?
Well, initially that often seems to be the case because the shock and the fear that goes along with a gruesome crime like that, it can be a tremendous burden for somebody to carry, though. So they usually want to speak to a police officer shortly thereafter, and we find that usually if we come knocking around doors enough times, that we get people that'll talk. It doesn't pay to commit crime in this city, Mr. Pantucci.
Oh, I agree
100%.
100%.
Sooner or later.
I know. I myself have a few legitimate businesses, you know. I have the Pantucci Discount Shoe and Handbag Outlet in Canarsie, which is very legitimate.
We know about that one, mister.
Oh, I didn't know.
We know.
Our bookkeepers are open at all hours. You can check. And we have a discount booze emporium located on 23rd Street. What about the drinking situation? I heard that some of the New York City police departments get free liquor in exchange for certain services. Does this ever happen? Does that happen?
Mr. Pantucci.
Maybe it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't. Okay. Well, being a legitimate businessman, sometimes I'll run across a unnatural element in my business. Like, let's say somebody wants to take over a silent part. Somebody is trying to muscle their way. Let's say the person is trying to maintain a business relationship which hasn't been sanctioned and auctioned by me, personally. What about that?
What about it, Mr. Pantucci?
You ever use rubber hoses?
You know something, Mr. Pantucci? I've met some sleazy, disgusting, stupid people on this job. But you, Mr. Pantucci, are the most ignorant dirtbag I've ever had the displeasure of meeting.
Oh, you're just saying that.
That's it. I've had enough. Come on, up.
What are you talking
Come on,
about?
up. Stand up.
What are you talking about?
Put your hands on the table, Mr. Pantucci. Come on. Come on. Come on.
He's
Hands on the
joking.
table. Come on, you want to learn about stop and frisk, huh? Come on, I know you're dirty. I know you're dirty with
I
something.
got nothing. How the guy?
What do you call it? What type of modern technology
It's
you
a
pack?
garlic
Mr.
press.
Pantucci?
They all carry them.
Come on, Mr. Pantucci. Come
It's
on,
not
baby.
even loaded.
You're under arrest. Come on.
What for what?
I don't know
didn't
yet.
do
I'll
nothing.
think of something on the way to the station. You trust me, pal.
I got a
Come on.
TV show. I
Come
didn't
on.
do nothing.
Shut up.
I didn't
Stop
do
talking.
nothing.
Come on, come on, come on.
What are you talking about?
on.
I didn't do nothing.
You're right to remain silent. You can?
Wait a minute.
Hey, come on. Don't fight it, Mr. Pantucci.
I didn't do nothing. I'm innocent.
Come on.
Wait a minute.
You're
Wait
right
a
to remain
minute.
silent.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Get my lawyer. His name's Bernard Schwartz. Get my lawyer.
Come on.
What am I going to do?
Come
Hey,
on.
what's the charge? What's the charge?
You'll find out.
I
Let's
didn't
go.
do nothing. But hey.
Stasera, ninna mia, sono montato, te lo